All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to JMac Sports Cards. Turn this music down here. We are live. Let's see. Hold on. Waiting on Josh. He's having some technical difficulties. But we'll work through it. Hope everybody's having a good weekend thus far. Good Friday night. A few of my homies in the chat from Charlotte. Chris, what's up? Daniel, Marshall, man, Gunner in the building. Daniel says he's in the hotel room getting ready for the show in Raleigh. So there's a show. What's that? A 2-day show in Raleigh this weekend. So let's see. Hold on. What's this say? Are you in the shed you built? Well, I didn't build the shed. I purchased it pre-built, and then I didn't renovate it. I decked it out. You know, I actually did all of put the paneling up, put a nice wood panel ceiling up, insulated it, heated, put a heat and cool. It's just a window unit, but I cut it out and put it in the wall, built shelving, put a TV in here. So it turned out pretty nice. So it it's climate controlled for cards, and it does the job. You know what I mean? It's nothing too crazy, but it's a Mennonite built. You know, the company that builds these are Amish Mennonite, so it's real quality craftsmanship. So it's pretty nice. Let's see, Brandon Cooper, what's up, man? 5 to 5280 cards and collectibles. doing big things on eBay there as well. Let's see. He's in Colorado. How's the weather there? You getting some of that blizzard, or was that north of Colorado? Because I know I was talking to another fellow, big collector who touches base with me sometimes through DM. He's telling me he's in Minnesota. They're feet several feet of snow. I don't know how much exactly, but pretty tough conditions up there in a lot of Midwest and in those areas. So it's pretty tough. So there's really no agenda tonight. It's just hanging out. Josh actually reached out and wanted to jump on, but he's having some issues. Mac Daddy, Chris, appreciate that, man. I don't know if I've ever maybe a couple times on this channel gotten a super chat. So that's awesome, man. I appreciate it. So Chris, he ran a big Facebook group that did weekly. It's like a wheel. You spin a wheel. Some cool games to win some high-end cards for, more like mystery packs, but you knew what you were getting. You could see them. But then he said he's making some transitions, and but he says he's going to get back in the game and maybe crank up a new Facebook group. So look forward to that. Let me know, and I'll share it out with you when you do. Mac Attack, Chad, what up, man? There's another Charlotte homie. I have no idea what I did. The first donation. Like I said, I can't remember, but it might be. It very, very much might be. Wish I was stuck in LA on a huge remodel. Sold the group for $4K. Is that? Hey man, that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that was a thing, that you could sell Facebook groups. Maybe I need to crank one up. JMac Sports Card Facebook group. I know Sports Card Nonsense. Their YouTube channel is only like 5,000 subscribers. Well, not only, but it's a decent sized sports card channel. But their Facebook group is like 50, 60,000 plus. So they have a huge, group out, and now it's like stuck in my. It gets recommended. All of the posts from Sports Card Nonsense get recommended in my Facebook feed. It's a little bit annoying, but let's see. Starting a new one real soon. Sucked the last couple of days, but what was a high of 36 today. We only got like 2 to 3 inches the last couple of days. Where you at, Brandon? What state you live in? Oh, there we go. The man, the myth, the legends in the building. What's up, Josh? You made it. You got audio?
Yeah, you can hear me?
Got you. I got you.
I had to switch computers. I don't know what was going on my other one.
No telling, man. Last time I was the one with technical difficulties, right? And I was on my channel here, and I couldn't even. I brought my router into the sports card shed because that was the problem last time. The router's in the house, and so just got to go through the shed, through the yard, over to the house to get Wi-Fi. It usually does okay. It does okay posting on eBay and stuff like that, but doing a live stream, I guess it takes a lot of bandwidth. So let's see.
Just weird.
What's up, John?
For Tuesday, I'll probably get in a little earlier, Jason.
Hey man, it's all good. Don't even worry. Don't stress it, man. I kicked it off here. We got rolling, and it's a weekend. No rush. No reason to stress, man. Thanks for even recommend. I actually, if I was smart, I would have planned to do this. So, to the people watching, my wife and kids have been out of town for a few days. It was a family. Her grandma had a mild heart attack. She's fine, doing well, and this was a few weeks ago. So they waited for her to get out of the hospital and start recovering, and then they went to go visit her. So, if I was smart, I would have been doing live streams every night, but I have been keeping busy. So how about you, Josh? What's up, man? How you been?
I've been good. I mean, same type of deal. I had some health things going on, but other than that, doing good, and been very active in the hobby, here in the past couple months. So I'm excited to talk about some things going on, because I think the landscape has changed, in my mind, fairly significantly since the last time we were on a live streams.
Well, tell me about it. Let's talk about it. What's going on?
Well, here's my thoughts, and I would love to hear yours. And hey, what's up? Hear everybody in the comments. I personally feel, and this is just people that I'm hanging out with, making deals with, the same old rigmarole. It's just that I feel like the focus now a little bit is starting to get down to the lower end cards because people feel like you can make a profit more on those now. And then I feel like a switch has been made too, where you know when people do get sort of high end cards, and I started to do this here recently, high end cards, but not of like your Mahomes or your Burrow or this, that, and the other. It's like Jerry Judy 101 or some of those type of things I'm starting to see is like people are starting to collect things that are a little different than what I think was a lot of people's focus maybe for the past 2 years, and probably for I guess a lot of that you see on YouTube is all about the high end and all spending all this money and da 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 da, and you switched you're in a format of selling too, which I think aligns to where I think some of the hobby is going right now. I think we're getting down to the real collectors, put it that way. I feel like we've thinned out a lot of the the flippers, and now we're getting into the people that are back to the real hobby as a whole. That's my opinion.
I would agree with a lot of that, and I would say like just to add to it, maybe like Brandon, I just threw him up because he's got a triple the size of my eBay store. So on eBay, what you start seeing is that there's also there's a lot of new people coming into the hobby, and they're buying a lot online, but they're looking for cheap cards.
Yep.
I mean, people say, you remember like during the kind of investment run up, it was like, never buy base, never do anything with base. Well, guess what? Base flies off the shelf on online and on eBay. So there is still that kind of newbie coming into the hobby they're getting their feet wet, buying base rookies of people and stuff like that. So there's like, I think there's a big realm of it, but I would say 100% like I had some auctions, some stuff I had watchers on, people watching stuff, but they would not pull the trigger on the prices I had. I'll eventually do is I'll flip those and turn them into auctions, but I won't run them at 99 cents because I'll just lose my tail, on auctions like that. So maybe if I had it at $100, I will flip it to an auction for 50 to see if I can get some people to bite, like that.
Gotcha.
Well, I did that on a few cards, and here's a good example. So like a Mark McGuire PSA 10 refractor Topps Chrome, awesome card. The last sale of it's been a while because it's a low pop card. Last sale was sort of in that, the hypey part of the market. It sold for like 150. So I'm thinking it'll at least get to 75, I ran it at 49. It sold for like 52. So I think that's pretty common right now. I think stuff that, even though it's a fairly rare card, but maybe not that sought after, right? So I'm looking at like a lot of stuff being like 33% of what it was. It was 150.
We're definitely down from the highs. I mean, significantly.
Yeah. So that's sort of some of the stuff I'm seeing is and people are more willing, even in person. You're seeing that at shows, they're willing to really make deals on stuff where they wouldn't budge. They're like, I'm holding it. People are really trying to offload stuff too.
Well, and I would say even trading down, I think has become a huge thing that I'm seeing at shows now. Is everybody wants to sort of get off the high end cards and get more liquid. Because that's what people are buying right now is sort of that mid range to low end stuff, which I'm loving it. I feel like we're getting back to some of those things. I will say this though too. The other thing I've noticed, and I think maybe it was the run up for the past 2-3 years, but I mean, some of these 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids, I mean, they got mortgage payments in their briefcase. I am still, every time I go to a card show, there's one or two kids that got $25 to $30,000 in a briefcase, and I'm just that just I don't know about you, but I mean, it just it makes me proud that some of these kids are really working up to have some of these cards. But man, at the same time, just like I just it takes you back a second. So that's another thing I noticed, at least from the show standpoint. I'm seeing a lot more kids, just out in the show than I normally did. And then when you sitting down and talking with them, they're pulling out crazy cards, and I think it's awesome, but it's also
Yeah.
taking me back a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big difference between, because the previous last huge run up was the junk wax era, which I was a part of. When just crazy boom, and yeah, it was nothing like that. That's for sure. I mean, we were, there was none of these kinds of cards to try to obtain. You were, um, you know, like a Jordan rookie and stuff like that was
Right.
the big things. Uh, let's see. So yeah, Chris always sold everything, so he doesn't understand the collector end of it. He's like, "There's no one's a true collector. You'll sell your PC to get a bigger." I got stuff I'll never sell. I'm even though I sell tons and tons of cards, I'm still a collector. That I got stuff I won't sell. So, but let's see. Garrett says, "How have eBay sales been? I've been hearing people complain about the eBay did some maintenance. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm staying steady. I sell over at least 10 cards a day, and some days are better than other. One thing I've sort of noticed, is like the beginning of a month starts off real hot, and it stays steady, starts to decline. Believe it or not, there's probably more people than many people think that actually have some sort of dependency on some sort of income coming in at the first of the month.
Yeah.
So
Well, and April 15th, you're going to see a lot of folks. Well, especially during this time now too, people filing their tax refunds. You're going to see uptick on purchase and stuff like that,
yeah,
eBay wise. I will say this, and maybe you can. I don't know if you can speak to this to a degree, but I know at least a lot of folks that I do know that do purchase a lot of eBay cards are getting a little frustrated with the eBay authenticity situation. Where it's being sent to, like, the sellers on the East Coast. It's being sent to California, and then it's being sent back. Like that type of situation. And I haven't purchased anything eBay authenticity, so I can't speak to it. But I'm hearing a lot of folks talking about how long that process is taking just to get cards, and as time is money in this hobby. So I don't know. What do you know about that? And what are your thoughts? That's one of my questions to you tonight, Jason.
got it. Yeah, no, I actually sold this month. I had two, or I think three cards that were in, and I didn't buy them. I sold them. They went into it. And then I actually learned, because I've had several cards that were listed at sorry to hear that,
Oh yeah,
Marshman.
no,
That's terrible. Um, so I've had several cards that were listed at like in the 250, right at 250, 300. And then they wind up selling for like 200, right?
okay,
So here's a little thing. Here's a little tidbit I have yet to hear anyone talk about, is that if and it may be just the seller, I'm a long-standing seller on the platform. I don't know, but so if the sales for 200 and not above 250, I get my funds right away, even though it still goes through the authenticity program, right?
yeah,
Well, I sold at the very beginning of the month. I sold my biggest card this month was a SGC card. It was a Trevor Lawrence rookie, a SGC 10 graffiti mirror, red mirror to 99, and it sold for like 320, and so my funds got held. If it's over 250, they hold
mhm.
your funds. This is my first experience with that.
Oh yeah,
Because every other sale I have, I get funds immediately. I never have anything held. But so I had to wait for it to go. So it took, this one did took a while. It probably took 10 days for it to get through the entire process. So You know, but those all three cards I sold this month that went through it, they all passed, and everybody was happy, and I got good feedback from it. So I don't know, um, but yeah, it's so I think you're right. It's like it's CSG or PSA that are
Correct.
doing all the authentication of them. So um,
Well, and too, and JMac's obviously the eBay seller. I'm not, so I'm the Discord local card show folk. But I'm an SGC homer. But I want to say this: PSA is killing it right now in my mind. Turnaround times, um, posting things. I mean, subs have just been going through super smooth PSA for the past, I would say, past 2 months. So that sort of got me a little bit excited too for the hobby as a whole. That I could start, really sending some stuff through PSA that I want to, as a whole. And I know like we've talked, you send tons of stuff through PSA.
well,
So
yeah,
what's your vibe on all that?
I've slowed down like as far as the amount of submissions, but I do send probably once a month, 20 plus cards to PSA, and then so my new strategy just got an order back today. I made a SGC order, so I've got now with the price and the way it is, I have a strategy for SGC and I have a strategy for PSA. So because well, PSA has been running a vintage discount right now for $15. So I didn't take advantage of it because I had already sent my stuff to SGC. So that's my strategy: is I'm sending basically vintage, and just if it's really iconic and I want it back for a show or something, I'll send it to SGC, but not ultra modern. All ultra modern goes to PSA because they just give them tens.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. If it's like something pretty rare that looks really good, like then I'll send it to PSA. I just sent an order last week to PSA, another one. So
And your turns have been good.
they're about 4 to 5 weeks now, maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep. Now I did during the here's a crazy story for you. So what was it? What was the special they were doing? I guess it was National. It was the way back to the National. I don't know when it was, but it was like a $16 special that they ran when the prices really finally dropped. Yeah. So I sent ultra modern and I sent a vintage order to PSA. Listen, I've had like 3 or 4 or 5 orders come back, ultra modern and modern, since I've sent that vintage. I finally got the vintage back today. Both my PSA vintage order and my SGC vintage order both came out today. But that vintage PSA order, it took about 3 or 4 months, and it was. I'm telling you, I sent the same day. I sent because you had to separate them by year. That's why PSA does it. If it's 7, So I got so many orders back while this vintage order is just sitting there. I'm like, what is up? What's going on? And it was sitting in like QA1 or something for a long time. So vintage with PSA moves slow. So my advice would be don't send vintage to PSA. I guess it's probably because they probably have like an abundance of ultra modern graders, but they don't have very many vintage graders. I think that's the
and I don't think, to be honest with you, even the ones that they do have, I don't think they can accurately grade vintage. I would even say vintage or our era, the 80s, 90s cards. I don't think you get an accurate grade on some of that stuff. Because like you said, ultra modern, PSA hands down.
Yep, that's it. That's what I've learned. And I used to hear people, it's one of those things where when you're learning things, because I didn't, like you said, I didn't grade tons and tons. I didn't grade anything in the 80s, 90s. Obviously, there wasn't even a thing. But as I've started grading a lot and learning, you hear that people say just send ultra modern to PSA and only SGC for vintage. But there's still I think there's still some cases for SGC for like thick cards and stuff like that. I think those look good in SGC too. So there's some offshoot cases, you know.
I'm right with you. Vintage,
Yeah.
RPAs. I go SGC. Rest of the stuff, PSA. Yes. What's up? Let's go back to Aaron's question. Are any of you grading Topps Series 1 for SGC for $9? I'm not ripping any, and me and Jason don't rip. We'll rip here and here. I don't want to speak for you. I rip here and there, when it's affordable. But here's the thing with SGC and some of these specials, and I'll get onto it, is I think the Pokemon special and this baseball and the Bowman special they've done, I think they're all cool partnerships and cool, neat things that they're doing. But at the end of the day, I still feel like SGC's got to come down on pricing overall. I know, they're still a little too high where they're at. PSA is still killing them on a lot of that stuff. So I think the specials are neat, but I don't think, Peter and the crew, I don't think that's a good long-term strategy. I think you just got to, do the flat rate, across the board on some of this stuff, which they already have in place. So, I'm not grading any Topps Series 1. And as for Topps Series 1, I can tell you the only good thing I'm hearing is about the jumbo hobby. Everything else just seems like it's not worth the money. So just be careful what you're ripping, I guess, on Series 1. I don't know what you want.
Yeah. Well, your take on it is as good as any, because I don't do a lot of baseball. Never have. Since I've came back into the hobby strong, I haven't really, done a lot of baseball. I will say I've just bought a collection, and man, it's a crazy St. Louis Cardinals collection, and like some crazy stuff, man. You're gonna see this collection when I show it. It's gonna be like there's a bunch of crazy refractors and stuff like this. So I'm gonna have to get up to speed. But that's what I do. I'll buy a collection, and then I'll get up to speed on the products. That's I bought these different collections over the time, and really didn't process them for a while. Some of the vintage collections, and then I would start processing the cards, or even like I told you about Pokemon. As I'm processing Pokemon, I had to learn it to list it, and so the vintage. I've actually got really up to speed on vintage football through collections. And so I really like vintage football. Matter of fact, let me show you a beauty here. This will be a little teaser for this SGC submission. So let me show you this. Hold on. So I learned this is a short print. Topps 63 Topps had. It was not short print in the way we think of short print these days. It's short printed because of let me go back here. Because of the way the sheet was cut. So, it was like 2/3 of the cards got kind of overprinted, and then 1/3 of them were on a sheet that wasn't produced as much. So this is a Jim Brown short print.
Well, you're speaking to my heart there with Jim Brown, so you don't have to. But that's a kickbutt card. I know that story you're talking about. I don't even know what they don't even know. I don't think what the official quantity of that particular card right there that you got is even at. Because it was so, like you said, it was so weirdly put together and had issues and all this other stuff. So that's like a super rare. That's a good grade too in that SGC4.
It is. It's actually the guy I bought it from. He said I think it'll get a 4. When I looked at it when I bought it, I said I think it'll get a 4 too, and got a 4. So that's the thing about the SGC, is accurate for the most part. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I'm with you. I think SGC, for them to really be competitive and to get ultra modern cards, they're gonna have to come way down. They're gonna have to be at like $10 to $12, like CSG pricing. Or and because of their turnaround, if they did that, if they can do it with these specials, then they can do it.
Exactly. That's my whole thing. Is like, you're going to keep throwing these specials. Why don't you just do it across the board? And just go to that comment right there. Rated rookie about going down to $10 for PSA. Yeah, I think SGC has to be competitive and get there first if they're going to start getting some of that stuff. Yeah, it's funny you're bringing up. Okay, yeah, I want to talk about this G Square, and this sort of goes back to too.
These two comments.
The BGS stuff. Look, growing up, at least two, it was PSA and and it's kind of funny. We didn't even mention BGS, especially if you go to some shows, and I know you see some YouTube videos and things. People are like hyping up BGS and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I know too. I just got an email from BGS about they're changing out the white label now. If you want to send it in for $10, and like if your card grades a 7 or a 6 or whatever, it won't have the white label. It'll have the silver label on it now.
Some money grab.
Money grab. And then, but BGS is so far behind in my mind of getting up to date with what the heck's going on in the hobby. And if you go to show, I'm telling you, and your Kansas City show, your video was like the perfect articulation of what I've seen when I've seen BGS at shows. Nobody is going. I know you see it on. The other hyped YouTubers out there.
That's funny you brought this up because I was thinking I don't know what we were going to talk about, but I was going to talk about it. I was like, Roth cards and those boys always grading with Beckett at these shows, and I'm like, man, they're just such a dinosaur and like irrelevant. They're basically irrelevant, those guys, I remember. I love those guys. I know Kenneth. He's from Charlotte. A lot of these guys are Charlotte guys too. Some of them from Charlotte. And I remember his first show when he blew up. That I was at the Hickory show when his channel blew up. They used to say they weren't picking on me. They were like, JMac, man, you got to stop using SGC, blah blah blah. And they're like, it's only for a raw card review. That's all these guys are using Beckett for. Even these guys, these big YouTubers that showed them grading with Beckett. What they're doing is they want to see their subgrades, and then they'll crack it and send it to PSA if it looks good. So they're doing the same thing. They say they say people use SGC for a raw card review, but I think there's a lot more collectors. I mean, there's some like vintage collectors. Vintage. I'm telling you, it's just as liquid as PSA is, and there's collectors that will only have SGC slabs of vintage. So, so every grading company has its role, but Beckett is trash.
Well, I'm not going that far. I'll put that on you.
I'm gonna tell you. The reason I'm gonna say that, I'm gonna tell you because I did send when they dropped pricing. I sent 10 cards, they sent it was like a Dennis Rodman rookie, and guess what? So I sent 10 cards, 6 of them they didn't grade, and they said so. I got 4 cards graded, and they charged me on all of them, and they slabbed them authentic, and they said they were men's size 6. I was like, this was just a lazy grader. So 10 cards. So I had to crack 6 BGS slabs, which are hard to crack. My guy. What is it? A 91 said they got the best slabs. Their slabs are ugly, horrible. They don't look good, but they are very durable. So I will agree if that was the point he was making. They're very durable, but I just couldn't believe it because I cracked them all and then I put them side by side a regular card. There was none of them. They weren't even a millimeter short. They weren't short. It was just a lazy grader who just said, you know what, I'm gonna finish this order. He slapped them all authentic. And so I'm like, it was whatever it was, $18 a piece, but 18 times 6, that's whatever. I mean, that was groceries for a week. They just stole from me. I was so mad. So I didn't even make a video on that. I didn't make a video because I didn't want to trash BGS. I'm trashing them now, but
here's what I'll say is, I really feel like it was their failure to keep up with the hobby, throughout the past. Let's just not even the past 2 years. I'm saying like past 5 or 6 years. It used to be, PSA 10, BGS 9.5, and then if you got a pristine 10, a BGS, that was the best thing you could get. It's not there anymore. People don't look at BGS the same way that they used to. G squared there. I use SGC, PSA, CSG, and that's. I don't want to get into CSG either. Right now, to me, it's SGC or PSA, and you have that division like we talked about at the beginning. Vintage, RPA stuff goes one way, modern stuff goes the other way, and you roll it from there. I'm not knocking anybody that likes BGS slabs. Look,
No, me neither.
I even did in a previous video too. Like, BGS was the only one grading, Jordan Star rookies, and now PSA has started to do it. So I don't feel like there's a need to get BGS slabs for Jordan Stars. So it's I'm just saying is like when you see YouTube, when you're talking about Kenneth and Roth and some of those other folks, and you see them constantly talking about BGS and stuff like that, I'm telling you that's not my experience with BGS.
No.
That when I see it at a show, they are just like standing around hoping somebody will submit with them on card show day. You know what I mean?
I don't think, I'm serious. I don't think, I mean, and it was a 2-day show long. I told you the hours were long at that Kansas City show. It was like 9 to 10 hour days, that you were at the show. And I bet I only saw like 5 people at the Beckett table.
Well, that's 5 more than I've seen. I can tell you that much. But
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying they're trash. I'm just saying they've definitely slid down the scale at a rapid pace in the hobby than we've seen, and don't buy the hype is what I'm trying to say with regards to them and all that stuff.
Well, I never had a really negative opinion or experience, with any grading company per se. I mean, you saw I made a video. I got ticked off with PSA grading on, when I felt it was inaccurate. And I know you said I actually had to chase down the scans because I didn't remake the video of the results of that, and I did go get them. So I'll probably just do it on a short. I'm not gonna make a full video, but I'll do it. I'll show the results of that. But the funny thing was, PSA was kind of accurate. They were fairly accurate on it. So I did get a couple cards go up, but most of them were graded the same by PSA and SGC. So pretty phenomenal. So I think PSA actually grades pretty good, really, in the big scheme of things. But you can just the one thing that happens with that doesn't happen with SGC is, I never get the order back and can't figure it out. Correct. PSA sometimes you can't. You'll get a grade, or sometimes you just get a grade with PSA, which that should never be the case. There should just be standards, and that is it. These are the grading standards, so you always know why.
And here's what I'll say too is, and if you look around at some, content stuff, I think SGC has been very transparent on why they grade what they grade. Especially now, I've learned a lot too. Like they really just care a lot about that front of the card. The back of the card does not really mean overtly much to SGC, and they've been honest and open about it. They were like, "Look, we're judging a lot of the card grade on the front." So I at least liked some of that information that's being released. I wish PSA would be a little more transparent, and I know grading, and we're getting a lot of comments here. I know grading is a very touchy subject to a lot of folks.
It kicks off the graded card wars.
And you know what? That's a good thing. If it was just a monopoly of just PSA, which I know people are going to say, it is, Josh, it is. No, it's not. And it's kind of evolved over the past several years into something that I think you got multiple players at the table that haven't been there before. And I know we had a ton of startups that I don't think are going to make it, but it's good to have competition, across the board on grading as a whole. So I think we're in a really good place right now with grading. I think there should be less people that are upset with the whole process than that have been in the past years, where we've been saying, we've been waiting X amount of months for that, and maybe turn that anger into focusing like on Panini redemptions and some of these other stuff that are really hardcore issues, I think, in the hobby, as opposed to where we're at with the grading component.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually said that, and so I did make a video. I'm gonna do the reveal of these. And so I already recorded it, and I said it in that video. I was like, we're in a great place, with the, like you just said, I said the same thing in the video, that I feel like we're in a good place with the hobby as far as pricing and, and so it's a good.
Go ahead. I don't want to.
I was just gonna say, yeah, if we could just get because PSA also running these $15 specials and stuff like that, I mean, they're kind of teasing us, like, let's just get there, let's get the $15, $12. and then everyone can, submit their stuff, So we'll see. But at the end of the day, like you said, and even people who enjoy it, like Roth and them, they really might like the experience of grading with Beckett. I don't know.
Yeah.
But to each their own. It's your money and your experiences with what you do with it, and that you've had with the company. So you like what you like. But you know, uh, end of the day, there's all this market data that people throw out, and people get all like crazy about stuff. I don't look. I've moved several times on what I like and don't like, what I use and don't use.
Yep.
I can move pretty quickly and be agile.
Um, well, and I was going to say too is, with hopefully Fanatics taking over, here and I think if we can get some of the other basic stuff back, if we can get retail to be, legit again, if we can, get the redemption situation solved, if we can get, player worn mems and relics, and we can, like, if there's a lot of things that can be, heighten the hobby to get it back to where it used to be, Jason, when we were like in our 30s or even before that, late 20s, we're both the same age. So like, I just feel like there's a way that we can get back to some of the cool stuff that's really in this hobby that everyone's been complaining about for the past couple of years, which they're legit. I get it. But I still have hope for the future of of the future of what some of the modern stuff is going to be down the road. And that's what really gets me excited about some of the things that can happen. I don't
Yeah.
feel like we're in a perfect place. I don't think anybody is going to sit here today and say, "Oh, the hobby's in the greatest place." I think grading is really good right now. I think that there's some things that can be improved, and I think we're just waiting on some of those, things to fall and go on to a better thing.
Now,
Oh yeah, Topps Chrome football, man. Oh
football and basketball. I mean, when those come out, I don't. I think people are going to quickly forget or
oh
not care much at all about Prism and care. I mean, there's still going to be guys that came in 2018, 19, whatever the years of Prism, and they're going to still, if let's say Fanatics doesn't acquire Panini and they're out the window, or did they already acquire them? Am I talking outside of my head?
well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you at least what I know. I know that at least coming up for Optic and Prism this year, uh, uh, Fanatics has acquired the actual printers that Panini prints, the cards for those two sets, which are the, basically flagship sets right now. So I think that,
They might be buying some IP or
yes.
something.
So Panini has to ask Fanatics right now to use the printers to print. So Fanatics could also maybe control the print run this year, which would be really interesting as a whole too. So I just feel like there's a progression there on that on where we stand with that. That I think it's going to come to a summation. Panini's going to have to sell at some point to get this all sort of squared away, and then we're going to see really what Fanatics is really, have they listened to the hobby? And
Well,
I'm sort of on the positive end of feeling like they are going to do some things that'll improve it.
what was it? So first time we've ever seen this so far, in this recent, boom of the hobby. Well, in with XR, I think it was XR. Or somebody correct me. One of these sets that came out, Playbook's gone.
Yep.
It was like
Zenith.
they
Yep.
Zenith. It was Zenith. So
Yep.
they scaled down 3 sets into Zenith now, like Playbook and one more. And so that's, I'm like, what? The Panini is actually cutting sets instead of creating more sets. So that's, if there's any positive about thing we've
Yeah.
seen and with Panini, I mean, maybe they do that with, a couple more sets. As
Well, I
know,
hope they do it in baseball. I can tell you that right now because, every person I talk to about baseball collecting in modern day is always confused about, okay, what is the first Bowman? What is this Sterling Bowman? What is this Bowman? What is this rookie card? Like, there is too much baseball products on the market. If they can cut that out by 50% and just stick to the flagship products of baseball, I think you'd have a lot more baseball folks that would be, collecting and ripping a lot more than do now. I'm gonna be straight with you on that.
You talking about the Panini products?
No, I'm talking about Tops. I'm talking about Tops
Oh,
baseball.
Tops. Okay.
Tops baseball, has just too much baseball products that are constantly going out, and people are constantly confused about, the Bowman, the rookie card, the prospect card, and it's all through all these different variations of each one, of series 1, series 2, Tops update, da 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 da, Bowman, first Bowman, all this kind of stuff. If we could just get back to when it was just simple stuff that Tops was putting out, and it was their flagship products, and that was it. I really feel like there'd be a lot more baseball collectors.
Yeah.
And to your point there, Showcard, flagships sucks or blows because they're focused on all these other products and putting all their money towards all these other products. If they weren't doing that, I think the flagship would be back to what it was for baseball, and everybody would be really happy with it. So that's where I'm at on baseball. I really love baseball, collecting baseball, but it's getting to a point where it's just like too many Tops products are just, throughout the year. It's just insane,
Yeah. How many sets does Tops have for baseball?
Oh.
Again, the reason I'm a novice when it comes to baseball.
I don't want to speak out of turn. Maybe ask someone in the comments if anybody knows what. Yeah, so please listen to Chrome update, Sapphire update. Look, like Sonic. Yeah, I mean it is just. I would say at least it's got to be up to like 60 or 70 now.
Oh. Yeah, I was about to say because that's what Panini is at. It's like 65 football sets. Well, they were last year, so we'll see if they've taken 2 out. So I guess they'd be at least down to 62 or 3.
But people don't know even what to collect in baseball modern day now because they're so, it's confusing to especially the new collector. And like you Jason, you just said like I don't know how many sets there are. Like what is like. I think it's a legit conversation, and I just hear it a lot, and I feel for some of these baseball, and sometimes I can't even speak intelligently anymore because it's just constant product, and I'm only used to remember growing up and what it was flagship. Well, these are the particular ones that you're supposed to collect, but now your guess is as good as mine. I stick to first Bowman, as the real
as the
true baseball
prospect rookie.
Yeah. And that's what I stick with. And all these other ones, I mean...
Bowman Chrome, Tops Chrome. I mean, that's really... And then you get outside of that, I mean...
Then you're just dealing with some weird stuff.
Well, I mean, like Allen and Ginter. I like Allen and Ginter. Cool different stuff. Gypsy Queen's cool as well. But, I like Allen and Ginter because it's got all the pop culture stuff in it and stuff like that. So...
But... and then I will tell you what I'm really getting into, and I want to because I know you got into it too, and I've been really for the past couple of months trying to get into it hardcore just because I've been watching some of the fights and stuff. But I think UFC is totally just super undervalued. I mean, I don't know if I don't know the audience out there, but man, I love watching UFC stuff. I get into the fighters. The cards and autos and things are really not that expensive at all. I mean,
they're cheap.
Yeah, I'm a big UFC. I'm a big UFC fan. So
hey man, here's my problem with that I learned about it, like getting all entrenched into it and getting into the Facebook groups of it, is that like a lot of those guys, like if you think gambling and stuff is a issue with some other like sports and stuff like that, and then tying it into cards with the UFC crowd, it's like UFC is just almost that's almost as big as the cards, like the gambling side of betting on the fights. So but yeah, that market, I mean it I fortunately was selling all along. I sold a lot of my so I think I probably broke even or made a little bit of money. And I kept some of the stuff that I felt like, was fighters that could still, be, maybe champs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kept some for, I don't know if it's PC but you're right, it's super undervalued, and but the market did just like
Oh
this,
yeah.
and it just kept
But
falling.
now's a good time to get in on a lot of that stuff.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
two
no doubt
is,
about it.
yes, it's very fight dependent. Your cards go up, immediately after fights. Cards go down immediately after
Like
fights.
the next week,
Yeah,
it's like it's really volatile. That's the only thing about it. It's so
correct.
volatile. Yeah,
But
so
but man,
it's not even like football volatile. It's like another level, like you said.
oh, it's like day stocks. It's like trading stocks during the day, more or less. But I will say this, like you're saying too, it's really cool to be able to prospect like a lot of the fighters, of the rankings too, and what fights they're scheduling and things like that. So you can like invest in folks and then sell before the fight. So I like a lot of that stuff, and that's what I like getting into as a whole. I will tell you though, the guy that I've been following the most, Islam. I mean, the champ, but I mean, it was a really interesting fight, last fight with Volk, and but some of those fights are just, I mean, they're just really, it's just kick butt, man. It's just awesome. It used to be like what boxing was when I was growing up, on a different scale. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, no. When I was like when I was really kind of like going in on it, I was buying the pay-per-views, getting all in, and yeah. I mean, like you said, it's really entertaining. It's really well done the way even the pay-per-views are done, and so yeah,
now,
Brandon Cooper, he told me he bought like this big WWE collection, and he sells like crazy. I've got a Hulk Hogan right now on auction.
oh, I
And
love old school WWE. WWE, WWF cards, I think are just like, and they always got that like 90s, no, that 80s Miami Vice like look to some of those cards, which I think are
yeah,
really cool.
yeah, I got the WWE NWO, and that wax I ripped. I mean, I graded so many of those cards, and sold a bunch in Kansas City, and I got a few on auction. They got tens, like, and it's really low pop stuff, and so they're doing really good too. But I'm almost through it all. I don't have any left, and it'd have to come in the collection. I don't think I'd personally like seek it out, but if by bulk, and I'd probably get some more of it. But yeah, it's fun to venture out and learn about
Oh,
new sports and collectibles in that sport. It's always fun. I love learning, man.
no, and we've said this on a previous live stream. Like every day, you got to be learning about something. Whether it's about pricing, grading, card, sets, things like that. I mean, if you're constantly doing that, you're just storing that knowledge in the bank of your bank. So when you do see something at a show or in a bulk lot that you purchased or this, that, and the other, it's just like it's like a CD that you just play in your mind. Like, oh yeah, I know what that is. I can identify, like make those
But
identifications.
well, and it helps you at shows going to like value boxes, because a lot of people who, if newer people in the hobby, they're not going to be have enough experience to catch some of the crazy, even rare inserts and all those kinds of things. Like, the longer you stay in the hobby and the more you stay involved and you stay engaged and you keep learning, you're gonna like that. I just posted a Topps Heritage Archives auto of a Hall of Famer on card, Robin Roberts. Found this in this collection that I bought, real cheap collection, and it was mixed in like a bunch of 80s and 90s junk wax. I pull it out. I said, because I saw the on the back of it, it has a holographic sticker as a COA, but it's put on there by Topps.
Yeah,
It's like a card they
I got you. Yeah, yeah.
they say Topps Archives. And so I pull it out and look it up, and there's several sales over $100, and I was like, there we go. I like this. So and now there's scenarios like that where if you stay in the hobby and you stay involved and you keep engaging, you'll be able to land stuff like that.
And I would say too, like if you're out in the show or you're on eBay or whatever you're doing, and you see something you don't know what it is, ask questions. Find some people that they can help you out, identify, do some research. That's one of the biggest things I love too. Is I'll be stupid and I'll ask. Look, I don't know everything. Just ask folks. play the stupid card. I don't know what this is. Please tell me what it is. What's the value? And then once you can log that in your mind and go through all that stuff, I really feel like that makes a card show. When you go to a card show, if you're not on the dealer side, well, even if you're on the dealer side, on either side, if you're going through cards and collections and things like that, I mean, what you can put a number on it, and that instant number, being able to put a number on a card or a bulk lot of something that's really unusual, I think gives you a tremendous advantage, across the board when you're in this hobby. And it's sort of an unknown secret. And you see card collector too, Ryan doing it all the time, going through the dollar bins. He pulls out stuff that I'm like, what the heck is that? But he knows it. He knows it. So he knows that he can make money on it. Yeah.
One-on-ones and nebulas and Genesis and all kinds of stuff. And you're to your point. Like anytime I ever get it set up as a dealer and I get set up beside a vintage dealer, I always talk to them. I try to learn. And a lot of people, like, if they're modern, ultra modern collectors, they'll just ignore vintage tables and dealers and what they have. But even if you're not going to go buy from a vintage dealer, I would say go talk to a vintage dealer.
Get the information. Yep.
Yeah, man, because listen. If you watch my daily reels, 50% of what I sell is from 89 back to the 50s. So every day, half of what I sell is vintage stuff. 86 tops, really, the 86 green Jerry Rice football year back. All that football stuff that you look at, that's some. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. There's so many like Hall of Fame rookies in 86 tops. There's, I don't know how, like half the set is rookies.
Yeah.
In that green 86 tops. So if you ever see that, there's Bruce Smith rookies, and there's so many different players that's their rookie year, and all of those. So sometimes you can actually go in and find big chunks of that stuff. Man, if you buy it, man, that stuff sells like crazy online. I'll tell you that.
Well, here's the question I was going to. Hey, look, this is a great comment by Brandon. I've scanned and listed 300 cards with the Card Dealer Pro since the show started. Yeah, well, that's a credit to you, I guess, Jason.
He was doing it. He's OG. He was doing it before me, but he reached out because he saw my stuff. Now, I would say before you go on your. I saw these guys talking about it. We're going to get back to it. We're going to get back to your Fujitsu, that one. We're going to get back to this. Go ahead, Josh, and then we're going to come back to this.
Oh, no, you can go ahead. Go ahead. But the thing I was going to ask you, Leah, let me get into it quick. The thing I was going to ask you is like, so since you started, this mission and taking it on full time and, the eBay listing and stuff, and you're doing all the videos of what you sell every day and things like that. I'm going to tell you, I watched some of that stuff and I'm just like, I don't know how you got $4 or $5 out of that. You know what I mean? Like some of these cards, and it's sort of going back to the Burbank model, which you talk about, like just listing as much as you can, and someone's going to pick up on it and stuff like that. But there are some things, and that was the question I was going to ask you, is like, do you sometimes just get surprised, like, and I know it's a small scale on some of this stuff, but still, you're selling that card, for some of these cards that you think, nobody's going to buy this card, and someone does. Out there trying to complete a set or trying to, do something, some of those things I know, in person, I could never sell some of those cards that you're selling online. So I sort of admire that to a degree. So, but I wanted to ask you about that.
Well, if you think about, I'll say, put it like this. If you think about some of, let's say, the flyover states, even where I'm at, there's, for me to get to a show is 2-3 hours. There's nothing in my vicinity. So, and I could imagine it's worse in Kansas and Iowa, So all those, if they're collectors, where they have to go online, right?
Yeah.
So and eBay, and everyone just knows eBay. So all across the U.S., wherever collectors lie, and if some people are just old school or have autoimmune things, and they don't want to go in public. They don't want to be around people to get sick. So there's all kind. You name it.
Oh, yeah.
You go up north in the Northeast. There's so many big collectors. like that Jeter collection, those Jeter cards from that collection. I had a guy today. He reached out. He bought 10 Jeters. I had them at $2.79. They're just base cards. So, and he said, "Would you take $10 for the 6 that you have listed? They're all the same card, so it's $167 a piece." I said, "Yeah, man, of course." I said, "Put offers in on all 6, then I'll combine the invoice and I'll get you taken care of." Bam, 167 times 6, done deal. It'll cost $108 to ship them. Bam, done. So I've been killing it regular, but so that's the reason. And so I was learning this because I was selling on eBay too, over the last probably about 18 months. I was, but never like just hammering it
like you're
hard,
doing now,
like I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But I would see that on eBay, and I was like, and then I would get frustrated at shows because then people would want to buy the card that, sometimes sells for 99 cents, sometimes sells for $5, right? You see those, you if you comp cards, and you're like, they always want it for 99 cents at a show, and I'm like, but someone's willing to pay $5 sometimes for this card, or $3, or $4, or $7, but every time at a show, you want it in my dollar box. So
that's go ahead.
I was just gonna finish it by saying that I started learning that, you know what, it's probably better for things that I know are good cards to to put them on eBay. Yeah. If they're cheap, even if they're cheap, but they have some value. If they're good players, they're good quality, players, eBay's the place for them.
Well, I was just gonna tell you that exact reason that you gave, past couple times here now where I've set up as a dealer is the reason why I eliminated my dollar box. It's either $5 or $10. And then people don't really even question it at that point. And if you want to do a bulk deal, fine, do it. But yeah, I don't even do a dollar box anymore because of that exact reason you're saying. I know I can get something more out of this base Trevor Lawrence rookie than, putting it in a dollar box. So yeah, I get that. But my question to you was, are you shocked? Or does it take you back sometimes when you see what you sold today that, normally that's a tougher sell in general, or are you just like, well, there's a market for every card. It's I get it, stuff like that.
Sometimes I am shocked when it's like when someone doesn't even send an offer, and I have it, and it's a retired player. There's no more activity. This guy's out the league. He wasn't even that great or something, and then they check out full price, and I'm like, wow, why'd you do that? Except from the vintage. So that the vintage is a whole different story. Commons can sell for $5, $10, $15 all day, and it's about condition and like what they look like. If it's a good looking card, then they can sell for way more than anything. That's why I say vintage is, people should seek out vintage if you're looking to sell cards.
I agree.
But so I had I don't know if I pulled it out yet. I had like an RPA of a guy that only sold for like $12, but I put it at like 12, and I was expecting someone to offer $5, and I was going to accept the $5 offer, but someone just checked out full price on it, So, or was it a 10 or 11, something like that, So when those ones happen, those are kind of big victories because sometimes you got to fight people. Because I can't sell a card. Here's something.
When someone wants to talk you down from a $2 card to 95 cents or something like that. Stupid.
Here's the thing. You could, but you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
You can't sell a car basically less than, I think the math on it is like $1.15. If you do, you're going to wind up losing money because there's a 30-cent transaction fee. There is 60-cent shipping. And then let's say there's 11 cents in a top loader and in supplies. So you put that together. So 60, 90, and 12 cents, and then the 12.5% eBay fee on top. So yeah, you're at like 120. So I cannot sell. So people shoot me $1 offer, and I'm like, I can't sell it for $1. I'll lose money. So
that stuff I couldn't deal with. I give you props for just even dealing with those folks, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's the worst. Not the worst part. That's just the most annoying part.
Yeah,
is any dollar offer that comes in or 75 cents. I'm just like, I ain't got no time.
It's like, come on, man, just come on.
Yeah, It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But okay. So Fujitsu 8170. I want to tell you, I reached out to Fujitsu the Fujitsu rep. Maybe he's watching. Maybe he watches the channel. I don't know. Maybe not. So I'm trying to do a deal. So listen, end of the day, you got a little platform. You want to. So I'd like to partner with some of the platforms I use. I'd like to partner with Car Dealer Pro, let them be a sponsor, and give a discount code for users. Fujitsu, I would like to use it, but I'm not going to pay $1,000 for it. But I did reach out to the guy. He made a deal with me. He was going to make a deal, but it wasn't going to be in. There's no advantageous end of it for people on the channel, so I'm not going to do it. So he was going to let me get a scanner, and but there was going to be no like affiliate program where you could get the scanner. The people who watch the show could get it for cheaper. So anyway, so Fujitsu rep, if you're watching, that's again what I'm proposing. I'd be glad to partner with those guys and use the scanner, but it's got to be something that is advantageous for people that watch the channel, or why would I do it? I'm not going to do it just for my benefit, for me to get a scanner.
Well,
I've got a scanner.
And two is, if you go around YouTube, you can find a lot of folks that have sold out. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
With sponsorships and things like that. So, but I mean, you just went over 5K on this channel. So, what's it going to take? No, that's a good question too. I think maybe going a little bit back into the YouTube sphere is on your front, and especially with some of the folks too that are in that 5 to 10,000 sub range with sports cards, which I think is this is a lot different. Getting subs when you're doing sports cards than you got your investing channel and other things that I think would attract tons more
bigger
folks.
Sponsors. Yeah.
Yes, but I think you get a more loyal following with your channel and some of the other folks that are sports card specific. But I don't know, is there a goal? I guess maybe my question to you is there a goal for you personally for this channel to get to a certain thing, or is and with the sponsorship thing, do you want to have a legit sponsor that you could work with on the channel that would be a benefit not only to you but to your sub base? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there for sure is, and I've talked about this with some close family members recently, and I mean, there's a short list of companies and people I'll partner with, and it's only because many may or may not know I do have another channel, and that one with the investing, there's tons of big and small sponsors that reach out all the time on that channel, right? And so I've done a lot of sponsorship deals on that channel with companies I wish that I probably wouldn't, So on this channel, I'm going to be very selective and very picky, grow it, and only use. But the hobby companies are cheap, but it's going to take. But some of them are going to be upset that they didn't partner with. I'm not saying me, but they didn't get into some of these channels when they're smaller,
right?
Because this. I think when Fanatics comes in, and I think it's just going to continue to grow. So here some of these companies had chances to get in for fairly cheap on channels, this size or a little bit, maybe the smaller, and but so anyway, I don't want to that might bore the crowd to death. I see the numbers dropping, but yeah, no, some of that I would only partner with any companies I'm using: Car Dealer Pro, eBay. Fanatics, Panini Tops, Epson, Fujitsu, those guys, maybe some of the supply companies, stuff like that,
Oh, I got JD Sports Cards, and it's kind of funny with JD, and I love JD's channel too. Speaking of channels, and I think I went back and looked at his. I watch all his. I'm probably in his 91% of folks that watch his channel and wasn't a subscriber, so I made sure I subscribed. I like his stuff. I like people that do focus on you really different stuff. He does a lot of hockey and a lot of just kind of weird things that you don't like education. Going back to that education component we were talking about, I go to his channel for trying to educate myself about hockey and some of the other stuff that he's talking about. Like I search those people out to trying to educate myself to make me a better collector in the hobby and better seller, buyer, da 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 da. So I really
Oh
do
yeah,
feel
for
like
sure.
there's a lot of channels out there that don't have the large amount of subs. I think JD, it'd be nice if JD got to 1,000. I think, so if you're watching this, go sub to his channel.
Yeah.
But like, there's a lot of good channels out there that don't have a lot of subs, but they get a lot of people that view and watch it, but they're just not subscribers.
Right.
And I don't know what your percentage is too. You probably got 5,000. You got over 5,000 subs, but I'm sure there's a bunch of folks that on a daily basis that 70% of them are not subscribers. They watch your stuff,
Oh,
just
I mean,
googling things. Yeah.
I only have a few videos that actually do big views. A lot of them get 500, 1,000 views, and they trickle in over time. And that's the difference with this one. With the investing channel, you would get all your views will be front loaded. So like you talk about a stock or something today, you get your views right now, and then they fade away, and you don't get no more. Well, with this though, you do like views kind of continue if it's a topic, like the car, like a lot of the these videos about like Car Dealer Pro and the scanners, and they didn't like do so well the first day, but they're continuing to get views, right? So it's a little different, and a lot of times I'll get a lot of views up front, or not a lot. I'll get like a couple hundred, 200, 300, 400 views on the first day, but then each day it keeps on growing. So uh,
Look at
adult
that.
beverage. There we go. Hey, look at
Well,
there.
Brandon,
Get a six pack.
hey Brandon, really appreciate
He
sending
must have he had a good
send a
week, I
$10
guess.
tip. Appreciate
That's
it.
cool.
Hey, and tell them too, like while you guys are listening, we're gonna do another live stream. Next
Oh yeah,
Tuesday? Next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. It's gonna be
with
me,
DGen.
Jason, and Huck, DGen Rips, at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. So make sure
And
y'all,
his channel is blown up. Josh's channel is also growing, and he is linked in the video description. So if you haven't subscribed to Josh, go. He's an OG in the hobby. He doesn't. I was going to talk about it. Here's something I want to talk about, dude. You got to get a better channel name though. You got to have something with sports cars in it.
you and my
We're-
son
we're-
both. You and my
What-
son, my
He
son
said the
tells
same
me that
thing?
every single day. And I'll tell you what too is, my son has helped edit. He's a way for him learning the edit. Yes, I know I need to change Joshua F. Mississippi, but it's just who I am. But yes, I need a JMac. Something kind of
Or
unique and
Rebel
different.
sports cards? Are you? What is the Mississippi? What are you there? What's there?
Well,
Ole
here's the thing.
Miss.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Mississippi gets a bad rap nationally, all with every single thing, and that's where I feel sort of like with mine. Saying I'm from Mississippi, and when people meet me, they don't think that. I used to live in Pennsylvania, but I moved down here and have met my wife and all that stuff. And I love Mississippi. I think it gets a bad rap across a lot of things. So that's sort of personal to me. And like I said, when I originated my channel, it wasn't about sports cars, but then I flipped and changed everything. I will tell you this year, though, aside from the name, I did change the avatar and some of the other stuff, some of the graphics.
You've been improving it. But
yeah.
if you get that name change, I think you would probably double your subs in pretty. I know you're not like trying or care about it, but I'm just telling you.
Correct.
That so in the chat, or people watching this on the playback in the comments, let's get some names. What something maybe Mississippi related we'll throw out. We'll give them some ideas. We'll get them keep thinking about it.
Yeah, all right, I'm more than happy to listen because trust me, I told you my soon to be 11-year-old son tells me about every day how it's the stupidest name on YouTube. So,
Brandon, I just want to say thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. You shouldn't have, but I did want to say thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So what? You're an OG?
He's an OG in the hobby. That's what I'm saying.
Correct. Show cards. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm like I said, me and Jason are the same age, so we sort of grew up in that junk wax era. But I just have he's great with and this is kind of a good dichotomy that we have here too. Is Jason's really good with selling online. I'm not. I'm the seller and the buyer. In person, Discord. local card show, you name it. That way is how I do, my hobby and stuff like that.
And it's a completely different dynamics, right? So
Yep.
you learn a ton, I mean,
And it's not like
um
I'm not looking online now. Come on now, y'all. I mean, I'd be stupid. And look, too, is everybody I've ever talked to, what's an eBay comp? This whole thing. So it's not
this
like
comment.
that. It's just, it's not my preference, and I like to be just like Jason too. It's tougher to get bulk lots online. And I will say this about my channel. Like, I had someone reach out to me and email me, and you can check out the about section in my channel, and you want to email me. He said, "Hey, look, I heard you talk about Michael Jordan in your last video. I got a stack of 50, of 44 Jordans I'd like to sell you for $50." He sent me a picture, and I PayPal'd him instantly. So that kind of stuff. I'm about that all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of things that I like. As a whole, connection wise in the hobby. But yeah, I've been doing it same amount of time as Jason, just in a different way. I think
Yep.
now
Yep.
in a different way because of how things have evolved, and it's going to be really interesting. I think the next 5 to 10 years. I don't know what you think, Jason, but I think there's something out there right now that we have not anticipated. Where the hobby's at right now, where it's going to be in the 5 years, I think it's going to be something different. I don't know what it's going to be because it seems to be kind of evolving every month, every year to something new and different and this, that, and the other. And right now there's something out there that's going to change in this hobby that people are going to be talking about in 5 years. It hasn't even happened yet, and I don't know
For
what it
sure, yeah.
is.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Listen, what I think will be very interesting is, when you're watching TV or no YouTube, it'll be YouTube probably, and then a bunch of Fanatics commercials, crazy commercials. That's what I'm looking forward to. That kind of exposure, or even at like they said at the NBA All-Star game, they were selling hoops products. They were like it was Panini was plastered around the NBA All-Star game. And so that's that's Panini doing it. So
Yeah.
imagine what Fanatics is tied in with the players associations. Imagine, the level of integration that it's going to be. I mean, maybe it'll be. I mean, maybe you get a redemption that you go get signed in the locker room or something. Some crazy NFTs.
Well,
That can,
yeah, and when we tried, that was a new thing too. The NFTs didn't work out, but at least that was something new and different.
Well, what I'm saying that I got the NFTs that worked were like ones that were like for concerts, where you got your ticket,
Yep.
but then you got a physical. It also gave you a physical ticket to get into the like a concert or something. It's got to be something physical attached to the NFT.
Well, and I think something is going to possibly be physical to some of these cards, maybe, down the road. Now that the Players Association with some of these are getting, they made the switch. They made the decision to go with Fanatics. I feel like there's a potential look. If they can do redemption cards, why couldn't they do, I don't know, meet and greets with cards or do something weird, like something different that we have not come across yet. That could heighten the hobby and make it more enjoyable and more fun. I just feel like there's a lot of, and going along your lines of what you're saying, Jason, like there could be a lot more player, maybe team involvements in some of these cards and some of these things and experiences, because that's a lot about what the hobby is really about. I may not remember a card per se, but I'll remember an experience of what I bought with a card and things like that. So I think a lot of experience things related to the hobby could be put in place. I mean, what do you think about some of that type of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Like that, my idea about going into a locker room and getting signed, that's dumb. I'll retract that. But yeah, like they could set up events where it's a signing.
Yeah.
That could actually be a thing. Where you get a redemption and there's an event. It would be like the little kid reporter card. They could be an event that they build up to for that year, where maybe you go and you get a few things signed, or you get a package, a care package, or something like that. Yeah, I mean, I think Fanatics is going to take it to a whole nother place that we've never been or seen. So it should be exciting. So, let's see.
And you and I are both sort of, I think, fairly bullish, but optimistic and somewhat skeptical on Fanatics. Is that how you would phrase your view at the current time here in February of 2023?
I'm more optimistic than pessimistic, but
All
there's
right.
just going to be. I just think there's too much time between where, we could lose some steam in the hobby. But end of the day, once they get rolling, I'm fairly optimistic
I agree.
on
So much.
where they could take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little. The only thing I'm really a little bit concerned about is just about some of the, it looks like they've done some things with some breakers and some things like that. That I don't know. We'll see how all that shakes out. That they've done
Yeah.
with some tops and some other products and things like that. But if it's more of a direct to consumer type feel and deal with Fanatics, which is sort of the model they've been running with the things that they do have,
For
I think that's a
memorabilia, yeah.
I think that's a benefit to the people in the hobby. And if we can get some, authentic relics and some of that other stuff, I feel like they didn't spend all this money to run things down the tube, and they know the problems. They're smart. They got the money. They're smart. They know what they're doing, and I feel like they're going to take it to another level. There are probably going to be some hiccups along the way. We all know that. Anything you're trying to do something different or going back to something or this, that, and the other. But overarchingly, I don't personally feel like things can get much worse, to be honest with you.
No,
With
there's no
with
doubt.
some of the stuff that's been going on, that everybody, that if you talk to anybody in the card hobby, they constantly complain about, these 5 type of things, and none of them have to do with, grading or other stuff. It's all about actual card quality and redemptions and
Well, and
relics and
patches and
patches,
relics.
and
That's
all that
that's the
stuff.
bit. I think that's the really biggest, like, well, other than redemptions, like, but the patch thing. I mean, like, Panini should just completely just stop those unless it's game use stuff. Just check this out. Let me show you this. I don't know if I've ever seen this. I mean, I'm sure I have. I just don't remember it. So this is so it's a Torrey Holt. I'll go big on it. Hold on. So it's a Torrey Holt. It's called History of the Draft. It's a 94.
Mm-hmm.
This is a rookie. It's numbered to 50. You can't read it. It's got fog on it. You can't see it. But anyway, this is this is his rookie year, and it is a game used patch. So that means there was a late release that year, but it's still considered as, I guess, it would be a rookie insert. It wouldn't be a rookie card, but a rookie insert with game used. So this is from his rookie year, and it's numbered to 50. So this is one I'm building up. I got 2 or 3 cards right now, and this is how I do SGC now. I build up some vintage, and I'll throw something I'm gonna throw like this to SGC 2 because he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. This is a rookie insert with his game used rookie year. Some collector would just go crazy for that, right?
Correct. I feel,
you know what I mean?
Yes.
That's an amazing card. That's amazing, and like, you'll never get that with Panini right now. Ever again, probably you'll never get it. So,
and that's not, back in the day. I want to say between, was it 2001, 2005, in those 4 years. Like, and what year is that one? What year was Holt?
94.
94. Okay, that's even going back a bit too. I just remember a lot. Maybe it's just me, my memory. I just remember a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Upper Deck. It's Upper Deck.
Yeah, Upper Deck stuff.
Yeah.
But people now, like, when you get a relic or mem card, I mean, you're just throwing. It's a napkin. You're throwing it out. It's not worth anything.
Yeah.
It's going in a dollar bin or whatever bin. Because even if so if you can make those valuable again, I think those are kick butt too. When I see those at shows or people have them, it's almost like it's like a super rarity. It's like, oh, you actually have a game worn relic from blankety blank player and it's numbered. It's like, to me, that's like really cool stuff. I don't know if that's cool. I don't know if it's like, what do you think too? Like, has that been just lost on the hobby now because we've been so, getting all these napkin relics all this time? Everybody's just like, forget it. I'm not into relics and anything. I know a
No,
lot of hardcore people that are really all about game worn stuff.
yeah, no,
You
that's the
know,
thing. There's some
especially
real
basketball.
there's some real savvy collectors out here that, man, if someone slips up and lists something for low, or there's the hobby never misses, man. Like there's always some, people that are always looking for the little areas that are overlooked. And so if some newer collector, spins up an eBay store and they list a bunch of stuff, or goes to a show, and if you ever go to a show and there's a table with someone that looks like they've never set up before, and there's swarms of people around them that go to that table, and there's a reason why, because there's something they've overlooked or something like that. It's yeah, the hobby doesn't sleep. There's always there's a lot of savvy
Oh
collectors.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, and two is you have to stumble into some of that stuff too nowadays, like to get that game,
Yeah.
game worn or just player. I know. I'll just be quick because I know we're running on time. But I like,
Yeah.
um, there was one show where like this guy had a bunch of Magic Johnson relics, game worn, and he was like, nobody wants these things, and they were like 10-15 bucks. And I was like, what are you doing? Those things are actually those have a serious value, to me at least. So it's kind of like some people. That's what I was saying about it. I feel like people are sort of getting just like, getting in the ballpark where like everybody's saying all relics are like not worth it, and I'm like, no, they're not. If you go back in the
But
day, relics, when you got a game worn relic in a card, just like you have Torrey Holt or anybody like Peyton, like anybody that was really good, especially a quarterback or even a baseball, whatever, those things were epic finds. When you open boxes and things like that.
oh yeah, and sometimes it's some like autos, or sometimes the case where like here's a couple of nuances that you got to learn in the hobby, that you don't learn until you're in it and whatever. Like some players, they've been signing for a lot of years, and they got lots of autographs. So there's some Hall of Famers, like Pete Rose is one of them.
Oh yeah,
Pete Rose has so many autographs out here because
so many
he didn't
inscriptions too.
he didn't make the Hall of Fame. He's mad. He's like, I'm gonna make every dollar I can
Yep.
on signings. And so Pete Rose autos are 10 or 15, $20, all day long. Even if it's a good looking card, you can get them for that cheap, because the reason is because there's so many of them. Magic Johnson's another guy who has been signing. He signs a lot. There's a lot of his autos too. So Magic is another one that, like, unless it's just like a crazy card, like that's why some of his stuff doesn't sell as well, because he's they keep these Hall of Famers in products when they're not in their playing years. That's another thing that's not as desirable.
Let me ask you this question: what would you rather have, a Magic Johnson auto card, or would you rather have a Magic Johnson game used, let's say, to 25 card, like a 2-patch relic that was game worn?
It's got to be a game one, because that got to
So
be a lot. It's got to be a lot more rare than a Magic Johnson auto.
correct. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. Like these things do hold value, and they can be made valuable again. And
yeah,
even if we have to go back to get, if they can work it out where they can get, jerseys and things from people in the past, make them relic, and make them game, whatever, if there are game use and things like that. I
yeah.
know the NFL has a real big catalog, Hall of Fame catalog of all the jerseys and things like that throughout the year. And I know the NFL keeps up with it. So I know at least on the NFL side, it's a possibility to go back in time to do that stuff. I don't know how
Yeah.
it is with baseball and the rest of the sports, but
Well, I mean, even like basketball. I mean, those guys played 82 games. They could source it somehow, and because
exactly
the only ones that are gonna be like really valuable if it's like a major playoff or finals.
correct.
So the regular season game use stuff shouldn't be that expensive to go. They could source it and buy it for probably a couple $100 and get
Oh
a
yeah,
game use jersey, and make some cards that are worth thousands, or
correct.
hundreds.
So
So well, but yeah, man, we're at an hour and a half.
yeah,
It is well, it is the weekend, but
yeah,
um,
it's 10:30 my time.
yeah, it's getting late.
Yeah, so
Well, thanks everyone in the chat. A lot of
absolutely.
good conversations. Appreciate everyone for hanging out with us, and be sure to check out Josh's channel. So subscribe to mine as well if you haven't already. And we appreciate the support. Hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yeah, deuces.
Deuces.
All right.
Oops.